Well, isn't this special? No, not the fact that I whacked most of the beard off. Talking about what the hell happened this morning. See, well, all was going well. They were talking politics about how Hillary Clinton was supposedly moving further to the right of Obama by supporting a no-fly zone along the border with Turkey, which incidentally, nobody seems to realize it, but Obama's been supporting that behind the scenes and just not telling you about it. That's the whole not telling you about his strategy because it's a good one thing. Um, and the reason why Republican candidates and Democratic candidates alike, the best they can come up with is shit that the State Department's already pretty much disclosed that we've been doing. Okay, well, she comes out saying she wants this no-fly zone. We've been having this effective no-fly zone about 15 miles off the border of Turkey uh, for over a month at least. I mean, for a while now. Okay. Uh, and today a Turkish F16, supposedly after warning up to 10 times, I don't know what that means, but around about 10 times they say. But I'm sure they warned him repeatedly, however many times it was. Uh, they shot down a two-person fighter called a Russian SU-24. I believe it's flanker is the designation. It's a little fighter bomber. Okay, it's out there. One person flies it. One person spots targets. You know, kind of like an F-15E. Um, well, Russia first was saying that it didn't get shot down. It was a surface-to-air missile. Now Russia's saying they weren't in Turkish territory. And other Russian officials are claiming that there's no way they could have perceived it to be a reasonable threat, even though just a couple weeks ago there were a couple of Russian fighters locking their radars on a couple of F-16s. So these two poor bastards, their chutes deployed. They get those on videotape too. And they start shooting at them with their AK-47s. So, Russia's been meeting with some politicians in Iran, and although I still have yet to see any evidence of it whatsoever, there are still all these other reports out there about Russian troops cooperating or fighting alongside Iranian forces. I haven't seen any evidence of Iranian forces getting involved in Syria. They've been involved in Iraq for quite some time. You know, it's along their fucking border. And the Islamic State attacked Iran. Okay, it attacked a Iranian border checkpoint along the border of Iraq and Iran. That was like, geez, years ago. Well, and I mean, frankly, it's kind of an inevitability that Iran and Iraq need to be friends. I mean, for the whole place to stabilize, that needs to happen. So you can't just sit there and say Iran can't get involved in Iraq. That's ridiculous. That's something you have to deal with moving forward. But the reason why no strategy can win is because of what has already been sacrificed. And that's the truth. You see, American patriotic philosophers, our scholars, our forefathers, our founding principles, okay? I'm talking about people. didn't speak hyperbolically of the word freedom. It was not an abstract concept to them. Oh, well, George Washington was a slave owner and blah, blah, blah. Yep. You know what? Rich people of all races, all around the world at that time, still owned slaves. But there was only one group of people writing about how to better treat slaves because of their inherent human nature, their human status, their human qualities. And there were people in this country writing about how ultimately our objective should be to have equal status for all people. Now, that dog don't hunt right away because we were a bunch of different people from a bunch of different places with a lot of different ideas. Okay? But you know what? Eventually, we lived up to the best ideas among those different people. Eventually, we got it done. Eventually, no, uh, we elected Barack Obama to be president of the United States of America. And even most of the people who have been convinced that he is bad today, at that point, saw America live up to its full potential. They saw even just the possibility of the future that America could be what we were taught that it could be. That America was an equal opportunity employer. But the fact is, there are some people who aren't American, and not just among us, who had a problem with that, who wanted to stop it. And these are the godless perpetuators of conflict. And they pit one religion against the other. They fabricate religions. They fabricate offshoots of religion. Hell, they fabricate entire countries. And I think one of the greatest threats to our understanding of what a threat is that most Americans don't really know what the definition of the word war actually is. I say war, you think History Channel documentary. You think bombers. You think CNN fucking drone footage. Right? It's okay, little puppy. I'm going to bring you to the place where you can go to the bathroom and relieve yourself of all that bullshit. Because guess what? You were born in a war. So was your father. So was your mother. Even if they weren't from here. Everyone on this planet, for hundreds and hundreds of years, has been born into war, whether they realize it or not. Because as long as there exists one or more expanding civilizations that are contrary to your civilization, you are at war. Now, the reason why I say the best way to fight this war is simply with the truth is because of what the actual definition of the word war is. And that is deceit. Now, I have covered the deep existential past of how mankind came to worship a god of war who was an imposter. Okay, I've been accused of being a polytheist for pointing out that they're worshiping the wrong god. I'm not calling him the god of war. I'm pointing out that they think God is that, and the only thing that's God of is war. Okay? Historically, I'm trying to put it in context. Okay? Whether you find them as Mars or Baal, okay? It's the god of war. To put it in the family tree, to put it in just historical context. I mean, you know. And also because there's different people from different philosophies who have more complicated questions than other people do. They want to know where these different alternate myths come from. Okay. And to find the unifying pattern that makes them all make sense, that's one of the things that you need to know. It's Baal and Asherah. Okay. You have Ishtar, and you have everybody thinking that the only goddess is Ishtar. What you don't realize is that there were two goddesses, one of which killed the other. There's Isis and Ishtar. Oh, but Osiris is evil. He's the god of the underworld. No. Osiris was just king of the gods before Zeus. And gods is just a word that you don't understand, kind of like war. Hmm. Now, the Sidka series and the Mults series, if you want to search Sidka or Mults, stuff you don't know about, and meaning of life type stuff. Those explain different ways that you can correlate actual knowledge that can unify biblical understanding with where the Hebrews actually went and where their influence can be found. Today we have this group of terrorists were told, called the Islamic State of here and there, Iran and or Iraq and the Levant, or Iraq and Syria, just the Islamic State. Pretty soon they're going to be like Prince and just change their name to a symbol. I don't know. So the artist formerly known as Al Qaeda is hanging out there where we just withdrew our troops from. And they suddenly grew in strength after this Russian airliner gets, or this Malaysian MH17 gets down over the Donbass where the Russian rebels had taken from Ukraine. Down by a Russian deployed Buk missile launcher, staffed at the very least by Russian retired vets, still callable to active duty. These, I mean, you got to really watch Crimea unfold on Vice News to understand what it means to be a Russian troop. Okay, we're local, you know. But anyway, so now the word Daesh comes up. D-A-E-S. S-H. D-A-E-S. E-I-E-I-O. And in that desert, they had some terrorists. Okay, I'm done. Well, still, even though we all know they don't like to be called this, we should call them this. What's the word that pops up? ISIS. Now, it's very clear that at least the group I refer to as media, which most people think is a type of news, but I've it's written in the Bible. It's an empire. Okay, so that's what it is, and I've pretty much proven this in many, 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 many videos. And we're told we have to defeat ISIS. You know, if you see clips of Obama speaking, he goes out of his way to say ISIL or Daesh. State Department tries to say ISIL. The reporters come back and say ISIS. Troll channels all say ISIS. But what I'm trying to tell you in most of my videos historically is that there used to be not only compassionate conservatives, but compassionate conservatives who cared about the environment. And it wasn't a matter of, oh, if we don't do this, bad for us. That's forcing yourself to be selfish just so you be good. I mean, it's ridiculous that we've come to that. Okay. We used to take care of the environment just as a matter of moral principle because it was the right thing to do. Hello? What happened to that? What happened to this is the right thing to do? So let's do it. Not we need to find a way we benefit from this to justify calling it the right thing. But what these Kabbalic manipulators have gotten you to do is curse Mother Nature, is curse the grand high wife, queen, mother, concubine, whatever, the soulmate of incarnate God, the soulmate, the female Christ. the other wing to that angel. Meanwhile, the work of the whore, the work of Ishtar, Isis's killer, that's what that means in Egyptian, gets done all the time, is your daily bread. It doesn't come from God, it comes from the lusts of this world. And you can find no better example of what the evil goddess of lust, that is the whore of Babylon, actually wants. You can find no greater evidence of her character than in old-fashioned religions, if you will, theocratic states. Okay? Not modern secular Islam that has, you know, I find out more and more about their rationalizations for what Muhammad did, and I'm just like, oh, whatever you got to tell yourself to avoid the truth that's in the New Testament. Because if you just read it, just stop lying to yourself, you're gonna become a Christian. If you just stop lying to yourself, you are a Christian. Because the only truth is Christianity. But what sucks is that Christians don't seem to believe that anymore. Christians seem to think that the moral equivalent argument prevailed at some point. It didn't, folks. Even Bill Maher, check it out, Bill Maher has stood up and said, no, they're not moral equivalent. They're nothing alike. Or Lee, an adverb, not adjective. Grammar. Okay. Oh, coffee burp. Sorry. Um, no, I can't edit that out. All I can do is drink some more coffee and hope for a better one. So anyway, Israel is now getting more aware and becoming more cooperative. Seeing who the true orchestrators are, the way much of my subscribers have done. Because, well, things have been orchestrated so that seeing through all this bullshit is finally possible. Things have played out incidentally so that the truth can reveal itself. And well, everybody keeps praying. Everybody keeps searching for the truth and trying to share it as if they believe in it. Don't get prideful and get defensive of yourself. Say the truth, not like you're proud of it, but like you believe in it. Say, I know where you're coming from, but I know this in my heart. And if you look at what a God of war is versus what a God of love is. The Christian God is the God of love. And gods that condone deceit and slavery, not so much. And then just quote what their book says compared to what your book says. And go right to the good part. Pick a gospel, not an editorial, not a commentary. Don't secondhand your information. Read it for yourself. I've tried to help a little bit on this channel, but it's there as it is for a reason. And I do intend to do a little more of the Bible reading thing to clear up a few discrepancies or do a refresher course on the discrepancies. But I've covered that in previous videos. Basically, how to not only take the sexism right out of the Bible so you can see that God believes in true love and wants you to believe in true love. Marriage, like real marriage. Like love, like true love, like you want to be together forever, that kind of thing. Okay? Not like business arrangements and shit and like convenience. What oh. Not people who have to search on the internet for how compatible they are with. Oh. Okay. And I guess the other big thing is there's this part that talks about harming children. Okay. And in a greater context, it's talking directly about people who at the time were slave traders, were human traffickers. Okay. And it's been reduced to vagueness in each of the Gospels. So those are the two most important things. A lot of what is written as quoted by Jesus was said by Mary in context, but Mary quoted me a lot. So, what you gonna do? Paper or plastic? Is it true or isn't it? Yes, it's true, but there's a little more detail that you miss. I'm not adding to it. I'm just telling you the truth about what's there. And speaking of adding to, the reason why the truth of Christianity must be what sets us free is because you can't add to the Quran, right? So how are you going to make a New Testament for it? Because he was supposed to be the final testament. According to Christianity, he should be considered an antichrist. Okay, because he literally pretended to be what Jesus was, but for the God of war, right? which is a false God, not the real God, not the creator of everything. War don't create, war destroys. What creates? Love. Oh. It's in there somewhere. We all got it. You got to believe that they got it too. Don't be like they tell you that you are. Don't be a racist. That's not an option. And I don't think it's valid criticism for most people who are trying to be active against Islam. Because, well, most people who are hateful, bigoted people, they're not the ones that have the biggest problem with the far right ideology of Islam. The people who should have the biggest problem are liberal minded people. Because that's who the Christians that founded this country were. They were liberal minded Christians. They lived in the status quo of the time, but they tried to make it better. And they set the groundwork, the foundation for us to one day come to fruition. The way we almost did, we did, but then we got attacked by deceit. Okay? A massive wave of deception. A massive wave of trolls and shill channels. And it's hard for JQ person who disagrees with me to bring themselves to the point where they do. But it's liberating. Because the reason why it's hard is because you're afraid. And I challenge any one of you to go and watch the Dr. Bill Warner documentary. Last name comes from Werner. 1,400 years. That's all you have to type in for it to pop up. Why Are We Afraid is the actual name of his presentation. Why are you afraid? Why are you talking about the same New World Order Zionist Jew conspiracies that the Russians are, that the Muslims are, that America's sworn enemies are? People who are talking about this place needs to get fucking taken down. We're unwanted and arrogant. It's because you've absorbed their version of your history. You have this white man's guilt. You have this prosperity complex. And you don't got to be white to have it. Okay? Anybody who's been doing well in this country, no matter what color your skin is, your soul's been made gray by this. And it goes from crusade, anti-apologetics, to the fact that, well, like I'm going to cover on the video, I'm going to try to drag my wife into later, the golden age that preserved heliocentrism took place in Baghdad under Islam. And is it fair to say that whoever owned the seas, owned the trend of navigational maps? Well, what you didn't get taught in your history book was that the old caliphates had by far the most vast and powerful navies of their time, and that the entire Mediterranean was blockaded by them, that Europe was completely isolated, not by ignorance, not by Christianity, not by hard-headedness the way you're taught in schools, but militarily, by not only a naval blockade, but by constant battles, constant assaults, constant pillaging and taking of slaves. Moral equivalency, my ass. So I dare anybody, especially flat earth people who are stuck on this New World Order crap, understand what the New World Order was initially made to resist. And the more you make it evil, the more likely it is to lose morale and to be infiltrated from the inside. But you know what it won't do? It won't turn defensive the way people think it's going to do. It's not going to turn on us all. Okay? It's the only thing keeping you fuckers able to spout on about your bullshit. That's it. It's like atheists complaining about Christians when they need to be complaining about people much further to the right. They need to be complaining about actual theocracies, not theocracies from 1,000 fucking years ago. Okay? Theocracies that have stated that they want us to stop existing. They want to bring their theocracy here. Okay? And as usual, while the pseudo-liberal, godless bitching about Christians occurs, the Christians are the only ones standing up for actual liberal ideals. Go figure. C'est la vie. All right. So, guess I'll get off my soapbox now. Thanks everybody for hearing my little rant there. And let's all pray that fucking all hell doesn't break out. Please. By all means, click the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. But I want you to, when this video is over, pray.